I'm Sheek.
I'm Joel, and this is a short print.
Guys, we're back with another episode of the short print. We're deciding that finally we're going to go hit an iconic 90s set. And so today, Joel and I are going to be discussing the Flagship 1996 Topps Chrome basketball. Iconic set for all basketball collectors, whoever can afford them right now with the prices being so high. But amazing lineage for 13 14 years. It ran all the way up until 2009. We are 2 years away from the re-release of Topps Chrome. I fully anticipate there will be some cards in there like a retro 1996 from the first 2026 release of Topps Chrome. So you're going to get like a 30-year anniversary kind of card. I fully believe that will be there. I really, really hope and I pray to the card gods, please don't bring out a zebra Topps Chrome, orangutan Topps Chrome, an elephant Topps Chrome. Please keep it the basic colors, and just, for tradition's sake, you can give us more copies of the gold. I'm okay with that. Doesn't need to be Panini out of 10. Please give us 49 copies or 50 copies of gold. I'll be more than happy with that.
Sounds good. Yeah, you went into a little bit of a soapbox there on it right off the bat. But overall, this product, as you mentioned, iconic. It's one of the best products released in my time of collecting. I think for me, it was always important just because of the time it hit me in my life and being in cards, collecting at that time, and experiencing the sharp rise of the Kobe rookie going from $15 to like $300, which was insane at the time.
Everyone wanted Vladi.
Yeah, right. And I just think about that draft class in particular, which we'll get into later. But definitely a set, so basic, just where all you're looking for is a refractor. And just getting a refractor felt special.
I think, what was it, 2 in a box, you said?
2 in a box. Yep.
2 in a box. Boxes are still about 10 grand. You get 20 packs. So $500 a pack, which is a lot. I will say this. Okay, so this is one of those boxes where you open and all the cards are now sticking to each other. It's very common for that in this era. The one thing that's quite amazing is any copy that you see without greening is really rare. They almost all have greening at this point, to the most part.
Yeah, it was interesting. There's some boxes that don't, and even sometimes out of the box, they might have like touches of green. So it makes me wonder what truly is the source. And some people think it's the ink that they use at the time, the printing technology, given that it was a test run that kind of caused this issue of the green. Because my original thought was, oh man, you expose it to light, and that's why it causes fading to the card and then it's green. It does not necessarily seem like that is the root of the issue on it.
Yeah,
right?
I've seen boxes being ripped online where there's green coming out of the box. So I feel like that maybe sun catalyzes it to be more greening, but I'm not sold that greening happens because of sunlight. It probably has a lot more to do with the technology that they use and maybe the cards rubbing up against the other cards in the pack.
Yeah. So just to rewind back a moment before we get fully into the product, let's talk about some of the aspects of the product of 96-97 Topps Chrome basketball. It was a very simple product because this was basically a test product to make sure, is the basketball market able to bear having Chrome as a product? Do they like it compared to baseball having Topps Chrome? So basically, it came out in retail form. You could go to, like in my case, in the Midwest Jewel, you go to Jewel and look for your packs on the shelf in the card case, seeing them for, if you're lucky, seeing $3 to $4 a pack. But that rack was always empty because whoever was there before me, they would just clear it out. right? So think about today with all the wax on the shelves. This was very similar at that time, where the wax would just get cleared out. So what you're looking for in those packs is simply the refractors, or was the only parallel other than green now, but the only parallel at the time was refractors, which came basically 2 per box, which was a 20-pack box. And there was the Youthquake, which was a rookie specific set. Looking at the Youthquake odds, they were 1 in 12 packs, so maybe not necessarily 2 per box. In some cases, 2 per box, but not all the time. Season's Best were also in there. Came out at 1 in 6 packs. And also the profile set was 1 in 8 packs. But both of those inserts didn't really seem to get much love like the Youthquake.
Well, and I think something is to be said about Season's Best, like having the atomic refractor a little bit later on. Those are really nice. They didn't have that in this set because they just started out.
Yeah.
But I think one thing about it is, and we can talk a little bit more about the set in a second. I want to ask you this question about like collectors and having to do with refractors. So, should a refractor have a clear rim around it? Do you think that really is like we don't see the love as much for the refractors that don't have that designated silver rim or a white rim around it? What are your
Border,
thoughts on
yep.
that? Like, is that coming back? You think is that going to come back into the hobby, or Prism doesn't do it either. They have like full silver chromium all the way to the edge.
I don't know, but I think Prism's original take in 2012 had the border, right? And I think it is nice to be able to see, especially when you start doing colors like red and gold, to have that stick out. I mean, it doesn't matter as much for the refractor, but if you want to have the gold refractors, red refractors, all the way on up, then you need a border to make it more differentiated a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't think there was a Topps Chrome set released without a border.
Yeah, offhand, I don't think so. I can't picture one in my head because
Yeah,
it's always based off of Topps.
yeah, and so it's got me thinking, Joel, and this is a little bit more towards what is happening in the hobby today. So you know that Prism is king for the Panini era, but I think the truth is Optic is now silver. I do not think Select, it's actually dethroned Select as the next choice. And I think it has a lot to do with the design, how Optic is somewhat similar to Topps Chrome. And then also, I think they ruined Select product by deciding to make 100 different parallels.
Yeah, I mean, Optic might be close as well. I don't know how many parallels are introduced, and I think they would. Um, and they use that name across Optic contenders as well. I think it always depends where the money's going, which I think the money's still on Prism being the first, right? So in my head, Prism was probably more similar to, I don't know. I guess it could be like that Topps Chrome, Bowman Chrome. I think the more Optic definitely was created more as a Topps Chrome equivalent. The way the product was created, the way it was released, kind of how the cards feel were much more Topps Chromey. I always thought of Select as almost like the finest in my mind,
I agree.
equivalent.
Great call.
So yeah, but like Prism, I'm not sure which. I think it is kind of like the closest thing would be Chrome, and it just they didn't hit it perfectly right. Whereas like Optic, they really struck for it, make it same.
Yeah. And
You know.
so, like, this is the beginning of such an amazing line. And I think we also talked about this. It was a test product. So, what was it competing with? Let's tell the audience, what was Chrome competing with in the market at that time?
Finest in my mind. So it's between that and finest. And outside of that, trying to think on the shelves, I mean, you have your SP Authentic packs, Upper Deck, you have your Tops, right? This is a high end feel. Well, I guess also EX was always one of the product that I always looked for, looking for EX.
EX was good. And it's so interesting that 93 was the first finest. They had a 4-year run. There's the 4th year release was the 96. In that time, Joel, was finest considered top dog by the time 99 hit, or was Chrome already beating out finest almost from the beginning?
I think through Kobe and the time with Kobe, then Chrome took over.
Okay.
Because once the Kobe Chrome became hot, it was funny. I believe at first the Finest and the Chrome was like this, and all of a sudden the Chrome started to overtake the Kobe, and then there was no looking back at that point. Then all of a sudden Chrome became the standard, and I know there was things in between, like the members only Stadium Club was
Yep.
popular, and then also the what's called just yeah, basically the members only releases would have some popularity there, but then the Chrome just went over the top because of course the next year was you had Tim Duncan, which was a big rookie, and the product I was excited about most was trying to open up the Chrome, trying to get that Topps Chrome Tim Duncan because you wanted the best rookie in the next class.
You know, I've always liked his Bowman's Best Atomic Refractor. I've always
Oh,
liked
that's a
that
sweet
product
card.
a lot. It's just
Yeah.
beautiful. I guess if you want to toss in there what Panini did to combat a similar design, let's go with Prism Starburst. Do you remember that? We used to have Starburst Prism. I think it was that Ben Simmons year. They didn't bring it back after that. I don't know why. Um, but going back to '96 and Topps Chrome, right? You touched on a little bit. You touched on like uh the simplistic design of the product and how it's still living to today. But in essence, a product's success has so much to do with the success of that draft class. So talk to
hmm
me a little bit about like how strong that class was. What like is it this where is it on your ranking? Like is it second best class of all time? Is it third best class? I mean, I'd like to hear your opinion about it.
Yeah, to me, it's number two, right? And it's equivalent to the Jordan draft class because you had that top end potential, and it was a deep class as well. There's so many Hall of Famers that came out of that class, so many championships. Basically, that era through the '90s and early 2000s was dominated by this class. Unfortunately, one of the horses I rode was Sharif Abdurrahim, along with Antoine Walker was another guy I like to collect. But it's just one of those guys. There were those guys that seemed affordable and seemed like they had top end potential, but apparently I missed the mark a bit on that. That being said, there's some major Antoine Walkers that collectors that still exist to
Oh,
this day.
there's quite a few. And I mean, so wasn't collecting sports cards at this time, but for me, when I started collecting, I was shocked to see that Big Z is in this class. He's not like a well-known collection. He doesn't have a big collection base, but for me, I knew a lot about Big Z because I've been with LeBron since the beginning, and so he played with LeBron for a long time. And my personal connection was to Marcus Camby. But
hmm
the reason my connection was to Marcus Camby was John Calipari came from Massachusetts to Kentucky. Well, Massachusetts to Memphis, then Memphis to Kentucky, and Marcus Camby was his guy. Marcus Camby took John Calipari and put him on the map. And when he played for him, so those were two of my own, and then another personal connection was what could have been with Stephon Marbury underachieving to me every step of the way as the Knicks. I was like, when he came, I was thinking, yes, this is now we're gonna be back. We can be in the playoffs, and who knows, maybe more talent will come. But he just never stepped up to where he needed to be. I mean, it. This is a side note, but do you remember the Starburys?
Yeah, they were the cheap alternative. What they sold at like Stephen Barry's or something like that. Uh,
$15 for a
yeah.
pair of sneakers, and it was at every Kmart. Kmart, it's not there now, but it was at every Kmart. And I just remember being like, I don't want this ugly pair of shoes, but the fact that anybody could afford it, I thought it was cool. And just to keep it going with how strong this class is, we're not even talking about the top yet. You got Derek Fisher, you got Peja Stojakovic, who was craftsman at his level. I mean, Kobe was not even a top 10 pick, guys. He wasn't. And Allen Iverson, gosh, I mean, I can't think of a more pound for pound talent than Allen Iverson.
Yeah. I mean, of course, you got Ray Allen, and at
Yeah.
the top, I mean, I'll tell you what this class means to me. Like as a card collector in that time, as a young teenager, this was like one of my first chances to step up in the hobby. This was my chance to actually get a major rookie for cheap that I could have found anywhere in packs and helped me make a jump. Like even having my Hoops Kobe's and my Stadium Club Kobe's and all my other Kobe's be something that I could actually bring to a show and convert to other cards was like a major step up for me as a kid. And that's actually what I think about. And when I think about kids today trying to get into it, right? Like them having that opportunity of getting cards like Prism and things like that, they give them a chance to get that card for cheap. Like Giannis. Giannis was a great step up for a lot of collectors, right? When Giannis broke out.
And like Joel, to speak on this, there's something interesting that's happened. So, right, you have the Jordan class of 85, then you have this in 96, then you have LeBron's in 2003, okay? Then you have 09 Steph Curry's class, they're pretty dominant too. It's a pretty good class. In all of those classes, if you took like the PSA pop on how many were graded in all four of those classes, the crazy unfortunate thing is the next best class probably after those four is 2018. It's got a chance. It's got a chance. It's not there yet, but it's got a chance with that lineage and the type of players. Maybe 2012 if you want to talk about dual, but 2018 has a chance to be special. You know what the problem is? There are more graded 2018 cars than those other four classes combined. It's because it was part of the boom, and ultimately it is going to devalue many, many hundreds of thousands of cards in that era, because unless those guys win or become Hall of Famers, which I think there might be end up being 3 or 4, maybe 5, could be 3 or 4 or 5 Hall of Famers out of that class. We just need one more class like that in the non-boom era, because then you're going to see like this is like you said, I got in cheap for a rookie card. That we need something like that again. And I don't know if we have that class after 2018 right now.
Yeah. We'll have to see what the next wave looks like, because really, since Luka, I mean, there was the big boom on LaMelo Ball that happened, but that was during the COVID boom, right? And where people were able to make some good money there, but product was so expensive to open to get that. Maybe in the next couple of years, if the way things are kind of settling down, maybe we find a player that ends up going from the dollar bin to the, showcase essentially, which we would love to see.
13 million basketball cards slabbed by PSA, over 2 million in 20. And I'm just like, it's unfortunate because could you imagine if it was Tatum's year? How many of us would be picking up raw cards of everybody and just, we would grade it a lot of it. It would be different. So, I'm looking forward to the re-release of Topps Chrome. I also am looking forward to seeing if they maybe put some inserts that they haven't been putting, that they put in the later years.
Yeah. So how many parallels do you think you would want in a Topps Chrome product?
In my mind, because I know everyone has to try to make money, I would really want less than 12 or less, but I don't think we're going to get that. I think they're going to start it off with a bang and try to do 20.
Yeah, it's just where we're at, because they need to have a retail exclusive. Then you need to have.
I mean, the normal colors are going to be there, right? Superfractor, red, gold.
Don't forget the sapphires now.
Oh, no, please. Please no Topps Chrome, but we're going to probably get it. We will probably get the sapphires now. But yeah, no, I would like to keep it at 12, but I also I would be very intrigued, and I think it would be an amazingly cool product if they decided, hell with the base on Topps Chrome, we're only going to do refractor and up. And then they made it a premium product for a release. Premium product, maybe you get 6 packs in a box only, something like that. I think it would be very unique, very off-brand for them, but it would keep the demand at an ultra high, because then you would only get maybe serial numbered or refractor into the set, into your box.
But how can you have a parallel if you don't have a base card?
Gosh. Okay, you're right. Maybe we make that retail. I'm not sure.
Right.
You're right. You can't have a parallel without the base. But knowing what's coming, Joel, I think there's going to be unlimited supply of these cards. I think we'll get 20 parallels. We're going to get the Sapphire. It's going to be rampant, and it's going to be interesting to me to see how Prism Gold reacts to Topps Chrome, because money may flow from Prism Gold to Topps Chrome, but if that's the case, I may go buy some Prism Gold.
It's very interesting the way that Topps Chrome football was done in probably, I think, that era of basically 2010, 2014 timeframe, where they would have the Chrome Gold, which is numbered to 50, like you'd expect with Topps Chrome, but they would have the Chrome Gold autograph, and those would be numbered to 10. And I always thought that was an interesting thing with the football, that they actually in basketball, did they do that? I think I'm trying to think, 0809, I think did have, yeah.
2006. So the reason I like that design even more than some of the other years is vertical, right? Every single card in 06, I think, is vertical. In 03, I believe they're all vertical as well. There's 08, 09, there's a lot more horizontal cards.
Yeah, there was way more panoramic type of shots.
But I guess this has to do with the shiny. One thing that could be really, really instrumental, and Fanatics has already kind of started talking about this in other sets. But Joel, what if they did on-card Topps Chrome? On-card autos on Topps Chrome. We don't have that. We don't have it.
Yeah. But Lineage would be stickers. But yeah, it would be a step up.
It would be. Yeah. They did this with, okay, so the Topps Chrome has the Overtime Elite. Do you know that? Like they have on-card autos on those cards. So maybe, you get in there, get an Isaiah Thomas from the Boston Celtics on-card Topps Chrome. I'm just joking, not that guy, but essentially you get cards like that, and I just can't imagine what the first Jason Tatum Gold Topps Chrome is going to be. It's going to be so expensive.
I just think about what autographs are going to be exclusives at that point, and all this needs to be worked out. I'm tired of that we can't get Wemby Prism autos, or see like a Wemby NT auto, which would be sweet. Given we have this guy that's got such potential, like I want to collect an autograph, but I don't want like these non-pro autographs. So what do I do?
Well, I mean, okay, so this brings up the point, right? So all these Topps products are coming in. All the Panini products, they're about to end. Well, let me rephrase this. I think Panini products are going to continue. They're just going to be continued as unlicensed products. I think they're going to still have basketball. I don't know if they're going to have the autographs on there or not. But one has to think, where is the older products? How is that going to be when all of these Topps products comes back? Are we just going to go back to a whole nostalgia era, but a little bit of a younger crowd because the 2000s were their kind of cards? I'm just intrigued to see that. I also think where I think we could go is if Topps Chrome is kind of like everybody should kind of, they're all going to kind of want it. This is where I would love to see if they would put experiences into Topps Chrome. Like you own the Superfractor for Topps Chrome, you get to go to the game, you get to do stuff, you get to meet somebody. But yeah, going back to 1996, let's go back. Let's go back a little bit. Sorry, I went a little off kilter there. The reason I'm like this is Topps Chrome is one of my favorite products. It's just, I get the whole appeal, like Bowman Chrome, I get it. I understand even the other sports that are into it. But for me, it was like Topps Chrome started it. Like the design, audience.
Well, especially being a basketball collector, Topps Chrome was the first, like one of the first high-end products that wasn't meant to be high-end, but turned out that way, right? It was just a product that really caught on basketball and that really carried that lineage because of basketball. Even though baseball came out first, basketball is what brought Topps Chrome to light, in my eyes. And products like Bowman Chrome, that was a baseball product that was successful before it came to basketball. But Chrome was made in basketball. Basketball made Chrome what it is today.
And with your thought process there, right? And you're thinking about Kobe and LeBron's effect on Topps Chrome. Because they are like, if you think about someone that never collected cards and they think about the top 10 basketball cards ever created, they're probably going to say those two cards are in the top 10. So then you have like this thing that's synonymous with legendary players with some of their most transacted cards, most volume that's out there that people like to change hands. So you add that lineage to a whole new group slew of players that have never had that product before, and then that becomes the lineage for another 10, 15 years. You just have like so much tradition going on with that I just can't see it fail. It's just not going to fail because I don't think the hobby community is going to let it fail.
Yeah, agreed.
Just don't give me elephant print, please.
Well, you could always, I mean, our wallets speak for themselves, right? So if you don't like a parallel, they could put infinite parallels. But in reality, whatever ones the hobby puts their money behind is where the value will be. Of course, then I think I'm this way too, where if you see like the gold goes for, say, like 500, then that's numbered to 50, and you see the green out of 75 goes for 100. In my head, you see the value proposition, right? Of, even though that's not necessarily same, in my mind, I'm like, well, it should be probably like 50% of that, like 250, right? So, Sheik, I heard you're going to Burbank this weekend. Any thoughts going into the Burbank show? I thought it was going to be over Super Bowl weekend, which I think it was originally planned to be, right? Was it now shifted 1 week after?
Yeah, they did, and I'm glad that they did that because nobody really wants to go. Like the show would be dead on a Sunday, right? And then also a lot of people may not want to travel on Super Bowl weekend. They may be hosting parties. It's just like it's almost like a family event now, right? To be in the Super Bowl. But at Burbank, it's going to be really interesting. There's a lot of movement going on with basketball cards and a lot of movement happening with baseball cards, right? Baseball is right around the corner, about 45 days from starting day. But then in basketball stuff, I'm seeing some interesting stuff. Like I did not think that Shea could get any higher, but I believe now Shea is more in demand than ever before, which is shocking to me. I thought it was like not a secret that Shea is this good and his prices or whatever, but there's just so much movement happening on Shea. I'm really shocked by it. I'm also a little shocked at how well Tyrese Halliburton is holding up, even through all injuries and the team underperforming. People believe in him, like long term belief. So those are a couple of the names that are out there that are sticking to me. I think LeBron he keeps sliding a little bit, and I'm okay with that as a collector. He's
Yeah.
just he's holding steady, but he's falling a little bit. Kobe on the other side, I'm starting to see a little bit more of an increase on Kobe. I don't know what the reasoning is behind it. Maybe people just got tired of realizing that some of his autographs are like, $1,200 to $1,500 for an on-card auto, and they were like, enough is enough. Let's create a new floor.
I think it's just a comfortable price point for people at that price. So I could see that, because in reality, anyone that owns Kobe, I think there's a lot of people that hoard Kobe, right? So if you're hoarding Kobe, that's limited supply in a sense. And if you're looking for all the on-card Kobe's, you have to start reaching out. And eventually, I think Kobe's a guy that people aren't looking to dump, right? And that's just a perfect. If you think of just like any other set of cards that people want to hoard, what happens? If people actually want it, prices go up because the supply truly drops from the secondary market. And then if you have flippers that get it, yeah, but they might be trying to flip it, but they're trying to pay a percentage that people might not even want to sell the card at. And so maybe flippers are unable to get Kobe autographs as much as they used to be.
True. And one could argue that Kobe has the most beautiful cards out of the big three between Kobe, MJ, and LeBron. I mean, we haven't had LeBron or MJ cards for 15 years. And we're going to look back at Kobe Flawless, Joel. We're going to look back at that set, the years of autos that he has, the patches that he has in that. They're going to go down as incredible designs. And even some of his immaculate, it's going to go down as some incredible designs. We're too in the mix of it all right now, but uh the amount of hands that those kind of cards trade right now is quite incredibly high to me. I don't get it. You would think that they would just have more diamond hands, but I see them move quite a bit. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to understand why that is.
I mean, I think about guys like Brady, and I found myself trading things like Brady contenders at a few grand and things like that for many times, trading them in and out. I think you just get kind of like when you deal with cards actively, you just think of the cards what they are in the current state, and sometimes you lose sight of like what they can be because you're just dealing in the moment and dealing with transactions. And I realized like, hey, Kobe's liquid, so I get in Kobe, I trade Kobe. It's just like anything else. And then one day you're like, wait, I don't get Kobe's, I can't get any more Kobe's. All of a sudden they jump, right? And then you're like, well, shoot, now I have to pay this new price point because all those transactions kind of add up, and it kind of goes off to somebody that's willing to hold it. And as long as there's someone at the end who's willing to hold it, that shortens that supply.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the show. It is in Ontario this time, not Anaheim. So it's going to be all the whole room is going to be connected. So before there were two whole floors and huge escalators that would separate the floors. I think there's just going to be a lot more action because everyone's closer to each other and it's not so spread out. But, Joe, before we get out, can we maybe share like a card on our desk that we
Yeah.
can talk to the audience about? I'm gonna go first. I didn't plan for it, so I'm just gonna go with what I've been collecting a little bit. So right here is a man named Yannick Sinner. He just won the Australian Open, and this is his sticker. His sticker rookie. He does not have an officially licensed card. Been trying to talk to a couple of card distribution companies to figure out, can we get this guy legit cards? Can we get him an autograph? He just won a major. He's 22 years old. He's gonna be like one of the biggest players in the tennis industry. So I've been picking up his stickers, maybe to grade, and also one of my coworkers is going to be at Burbank, and he's a really big tennis fan. I'm going to give him one of these because I got a few of them. So he's a big tennis guy. So that's what's on my desk right now.
Yeah, I guess I just picked one off my desk. I've been ripping some Bowman Chrome University, whereas we're talking about Chrome and I talked about Sapphire. I got one of these Bronny James yellow sapphires, number 75, that I pulled out of a box. So I mean, it's a pretty sweet card, I guess. I mean, it doesn't really do much for me. It's funny because I want to like Bronny James as a player, but I just don't have faith. He's not as dad.
I'll tell you what, Joel. If Thanasis can get an NBA spot, there is a place for Bronny James.
Maybe there is, but I just don't see it long lasting at this point. I mean, even for him with the heart issue he might have, I know he's cleared to play, and like it's just, to me, it's like, what's he? He doesn't have to do this.
Do you think he'll have to stay one more year?
Yeah, I think so. If he wants to
prove
anything,
too. I think he'll have to stay one more year, and then if he left this year, I honestly don't see him getting drafted until somewhere between picks 45 to 60 because you don't have to. First of all, I think it'll be 100%. It'll be a second round pick because you don't have to guarantee a contract, unless like LeBron just calls Lakers and be like, "Go trade for pick 26 or something and go get my son," or something like that. I'm not sure,
that'd be
but I'll tell you what, the Knicks got a lot of picks, dude. Knicks, please go ahead and draft Bronny James. I don't give a damn. Go draft him and bring the king home. I would love to have the king in New York for a year, even if it's for a year.
If you were Bronny, would you even want to be on the same team as your dad? I guess we don't know.
I think yes, and I'll tell you why. If he was like a bona fide like guy that's gonna be, like in the green room, the top 14 pick, the lottery pick, I have a different idea. I think maybe it might be best that he's not on the same team as his dad. But because he's probably going to come more from the bottom up, I actually think playing with your dad would help you, develop what you need to develop to stay in the league.
Yeah, I just kind of have this feeling no one would respect him, right? Kind of like he needs daddy close by kind of thing, and it would just put him on a kind of like whereas Austin Rivers talked about that with playing for Doc Rivers, and essentially he's saying that it was hard for him to gain that respect because his dad was in the room, and then he's always assumed to have favoritism, right? And especially in a game where there's such few roster spots in the NBA, I think it's a tough spot to take one of those bench spots and have no one respect you.
Yeah, no, I agree. Still think his superfractor with his dad is going to sell for a lot of money, though.
Yeah, that's coming up here soon. We'll get a chance to see what that actually turns into. That actually came out of shop out of Illinois, um, that I've been to once. I
Wow.
wish I went there that day, but I have not.
Yeah, especially with you ripping the product. That's
Yeah,
cool.
right. Oh man. So anything on the NBA trade front that you want to talk about?
Uh, I think some teams got marginally better. There weren't like any big trades that really happened, but one thing I saw was the last time an All-Star got traded at trade deadline was actually 3 years ago. So it really doesn't happen very often that All-Stars get traded in trade deadline. Um, just some notable stuff. The Knicks got marginally better. I think the bigger trade for them was OG Anunoby before. Um, I actually think some teams' best move was not making a move. And I actually think the Lakers' best move was to not make a move. I really think that Austin Reeves is worth the $15 million. Just wait until you see what these guys are going to be getting next year. There's going to be some mediocre players getting 30 mil a year. And even if Austin Reeves turns out to be a mediocre player at 15 mil per year, he's cheap.
It's insane to think that that's cheap, but I hear you. Just where NBA contracts are going.
Yeah, and I actually posted on my Instagram story today. I was so shocked by it. But last night was Paolo Banchero's first televised NBA game, national game. I'm absolutely floored that a number one pick, it took them this long to get him on TV. And the guy is a stud. He's really, really good. And the only other thing I wanted to call out to you is Charlotte seemed to just completely changed they're trying to, I think they're going back to rebuild with LaMelo being out and stuff. And so they traded PJ Washington. I personally believe the team that succeeded the most on trade deadline was the Dallas Mavericks. I think they're now going to probably push their way and get into like maybe they'll be a number 5 seed. I actually think they'll be right under the top 4. And they got PJ Washington. They moved Grant Williams away, and then they got Daniel Gafford. They got 2 good players, and I think it's really going to help Luka.
I didn't really pay attention to why Grant Williams became so unhappy there. Do you have any thoughts on why? I got to look up to see why, but to me, I thought he seemed happy, and then out of nowhere, it seemed like that changed quickly.
They said he rubbed people the wrong way. I don't know what that means, but maybe he got in people's faces, and that's just
Yeah,
not the style at Dallas. One
yeah.
thing that spoke to me was Spencer Dinwiddie talking about Dallas versus the Lakers. He said in Dallas, if you don't do a good job, they pat you on your back. He feels like in the Lakers, if you don't do a good job, then everyone gets on you. And he
Hmm.
said that was like the dynamic that was going on at the Mavericks. And Grant Williams was 2-time SEC Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year for also the SEC, 4-year starter for Tennessee. I don't think he likes that kind of mindset. But he also went to a team which I don't know if they have that mindset either. He's going to the Hornets. So I don't know how that would be a better environment. But I'm going to leave this last thing here with you. That class with Wemby, right? I wish Chet was in that class. Holy crap. If Wemby and Chet were in the same class, that draft class becomes like whole different level. But we should really pay attention to Brandon Miller.
Hmm.
Brandon Miller is giving me some crazy, crazy vibes. He's reminding me a little bit of PG-13. He is showing some flashes of what he's able to do. And the crazy part is he's also doing it well in defense. He's a guy that I'm going to be going out there and buying cards of. I strongly believe in him. I think he is in the last 30 or so games, pretty good sample size. He's close to 25 a game. And he's doing it on the defensive side too. So he's figured it out. Go watch his mid-range pull-up jumpers. It's crazy. The confidence that the guy has. I know him a little bit from his days of playing in Alabama. I'm from Kentucky. So Alabama kicked our butt when he was on that team. But he's long, he's lanky, and he's got the build. If you just cut his head off and just look at his build, he's not this player, but he has the same build as Tracy McGrady when he came in. He's got the same build. So he's not going to be a Tracy McGrady shifty. I'm not saying anything like that, but he's giving me some PG-13 vibes, and that's good enough for me to take a shot on some of his cards.
That's pretty cool. I have not even paid attention to Brandon Miller at all. But Wemby's stats have been insane lately, getting
10
triple
blocks.
doubles with 10 blocks. I think he might do it again.
Dude,
this year. I'm on block watch with him.
I don't care. I'm going to just preach this. This is my opinion. Chet is good. Wemby is great. Like I do not think Chet is in Wemby's arena. I think Chet is an all-star. I think Wemby has Hall of Fame potential. That's the difference. Can Chet become a Hall of Famer? Maybe if he gets off, maybe if him and SGA do some magic. That's his chance. But Wemby gets some help. And they will. They're going to have a top pick in the draft.
Yeah, it's a shame that the team's performing so badly, but in a way, at least it will result in another pick. But you see all the skills there, and I think the way that his defense has developed this year has been crazy. I remember watching his first game thinking, like, oh, this guy's going to get blocks. He ended up getting 5 quick fouls and all of a sudden on the bench, right? But throughout the season, he's cleaned it up so much and has adjusted to the NBA game. And it's just amazing seeing him move so fluidly.
It's sometimes seeing
it's
him
like Kevin Durant, like
whoa.
a 7'4" Kevin Durant, essentially, the way he can maybe I'll pause. It's not that good, but at least he has some of those skills, and you see the bag, right? And the fact that he can even dribble so smoothly, it's like a guy that big should not be able to be that smooth with the ball.
Much better passer than I thought. And when they moved him over to the center, I think it helped out the team completely. I don't even think he knows what he's doing just yet, to be frank. I think he's just out there like, I'm tall as heck. I can do what I want. But like, I bet you he hasn't lost this much in his whole life. This is the first time he's lost this much. It's probably a weird experience for him. I just can't wait to see if they get some veteran help for him coming up, because I'm sure Pop would like that too. You cannot stay in the losing culture. Some people say, "Oh, well, get out of the losing culture. You should, be the difference maker." But as a big man, you don't always have the ball in your hand to make the decisions. Whereas, LeBron had the ball in his hand to make decisions. Allen Iverson had the ball to make him decisions. I'm just giving you an example. If you're a big man, how do you get on the winning side if you don't touch the ball on every possession?
Well, they need to go back to basically inside-outside ball. And I think they're in the right team, right culture to do that. I mean, they still have Pop, who comes from a winning culture. I think they're bringing Tim Duncan in, all these vets in to really work with Wemby. I think that's a good thing. And on top of all of it, I think Wemby has a great head on his shoulders. Like, it seems like he's committed to keeping his body in good condition. He's committed to his flexibility, which is major at his height. Yeah, he's extremely humble. He's well-spoken. I don't see any miss on him at all. Like, I mean, Zion, he came in, and people were talking up to the moon and but I mean, he had a hitch in his step. He's a little bit heavy. There was some things there.
I'm sold on Zion if he can develop a jump shot. Until I see the jump shot, I'm not sold. It's almost like a LeBron kind of effect, but the difference is Zion hasn't stayed healthy enough for me to give you that profile. But until Zion makes threes, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm just going to pack the paint. Like, he hasn't been to the playoffs yet, right? He's going to be in the playoffs probably this year. You watch how they guard him. They're just going to camp out in the paint. They're going to camp out in the paint. They're going to know what he's going to do. I don't think, like, I almost feel like if he was alone on that team and no Brandon Ingram, I actually think he would see all the double teams. He would have I almost feel like it would force him to make the jumpers. Whereas right now, I don't think he feels it's necessary, because he's like, this is my advantage. I'm going to get to the rim. You're not going to stop me. I'm still going to score 20. The thing is, I just don't know if it's going to work in today's NBA. I think it worked in LeBron's era in the 2000s. I don't think it works today.
Yeah. Yeah, well, anyway, just before we wrap up, let's at least talk about the Super Bowl a little bit. I was happy with the outcome. I was with some friends that were not very happy with the outcome at all of the game. That being said, the first half, I'm sure there are lots of bets out there with I had so many bets lined up with so many touchdowns that were going to happen in my head. I'm like, okay, Kelsey might get 2, McCaffrey might get 2. So if I do that bet, then I got like 2 touchdowns each, and that's like plus 700, whatever the bets were, right?
Yeah.
And so I mean, I had all these dreams of what the Super Bowl could be, but it ended up being a very defensive game, at least for the first half, and then turned into just some really nice drives in the second half, and then a full overtime in the Super Bowl leading to that last touchdown. What were your thoughts on the game?
Well, I have a Brock Purdy gold prism, a rookie gold prism. That's a PSA 9. So I was cheering for Brock Purdy for my card's sake, but I cannot deny, greatness, and greatness was just evident to me. I also think there were some misassignments on the
Yeah.
49ers offensive line, but I don't think Purdy played a poor game. But in order to beat Patrick Mahomes, I think you have to play a little bit better. And I think there were just a couple of opportunities for Purdy to seal the deal. But there's so many things worked against San Francisco a little bit. The muffed punt, the missed extra point. Like they had the Chiefs where they could have them. Like Chiefs are known to score a lot of points, and they held them. That was your chance to get it. I do think that it was an exciting game. Does it make me think any poorly about Brock Purdy? No, I still think he's going to be a good quarterback. I'm still holding his card. Let's see what happens. Maybe they'll get more weapons, retool, but they played a good game. They had the Chiefs, on the run for the majority of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw an amazing stat the other day. For a team with less than 1 minute to go, needing a touchdown to win. It's happened like 100 or so times in the last like four years or so. 100 like needs a touchdown to win the game, and there's less than a minute to go. And something like the success rate, and I think there was only the playoff quarterbacks they looked at. Like they looked at Tom Brady and everything like that. Tom Brady had like something like a 65% success rate. I think Josh Allen had like a 50% success rate on that. And they showed that Patrick Mahomes had a 100% success rate.
It's insane.
It's blowing my mind. And so I'll have the package and I'll show it in the next episode. But I finally got my first piggy banks cards. If you guys don't know piggy banks, they make art custom cards. And I think for a long time I was against custom cards, but this is different. He's taking like real world sports scenarios or events that are happen and making them into art pieces. Like for instance, I'll give you an example. There were two people that tried to throw Campbell's tomato soup on the Mona Lisa, and he created a card about that with the Campbell's soup in the background and the Mona Lisa in the front. This is just an example. So card related, there was another one that he did when Nick Saban and Bill Belichick retired. He did like Michelangelo's painting of touching the fingers with all their rings on their hands. Freaking cool. Really cool concepts. So I finally got my hand on one of them that's Patrick Mahomes related. So maybe next episode, if it gets shipped to me, I will show it.
Oh, cool. Maybe I can show him a Holmes card I picked up at Dallas in the next episode too when you show that. So
Oh yeah,
we'll save that for the next one.
Yep, sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and we're going to try to stay on schedule as best as we can and keep on going. So until then, hit subscribe, hit that bell so you can see when we get our next episode up, and we'll see you next time.